Hey, it's Ken and Gina here from OK Portugal.
Hello.
And welcome to another episode of Portugal Farm Life.
See.
It's April on the farm, it's springtime, but you wouldn't know that because everything is so dry, it almost looks like summertime. April is supposed to be the month of rains, and unfortunately we've had little to none. Everything's super dry, and that's becoming a real problem for us. We've been pruning our olive trees, and that's leaving huge piles of waste. And because it's so dry and because it's so hot, we haven't been able to burn these because the fire risk is too high. Today's a special day though, because the fire risk today is actually at high level. When the fire risk goes to very high or when it goes to maximum, you aren't allowed to use any sort of motorized equipment in fields or tractors or things like that. You can't use like wood chippers, and you definitely can't have any fires. Now today's a special day because it's only on high, and that basically means that we've got today to try and sort out these piles. And that means that we've basically got a little window of today to try and get through all of these piles that are spread out throughout the farm. And we've got something very cool to help us with this task. Now, as you can see, our fields are full of very tall grasses, and they're very, very flammable. Now, a little spark from a machine could definitely set stuff like this off. And before you know it, all of our fields are on fire. So we've got to be quite careful with how we do things this time of year. There is a website called IPMA, which you can go to, and you can have a look at the rural fire risk level. And it basically goes from, low to moderate to high to very high and then to maximum. And even though it tells you that, it's safe to, do those activities, it's always a good idea to make sure that you have things in place in case a fire does break out. Yeah. So we're just walking down to the bottom of this olive grove, and I'm going to show you what we've got to help make our lives a little bit easier today. This is a 500cc wood chipper, and it makes easy work of big, thick logs and branches and things like that. Yesterday we were down here, we actually processed a whole bunch of them. So we've got through a whole stack, and this is what's left. This is a remainder of all of those olive branches and things. All these little wood chips. Now these wood chips are absolutely amazing mulch, and if we start to spread these over the years throughout our olive grove, it's going to help to retain water in the roots in the height of summer. And this is something that's obviously going to compound every single year, every single time that we prune, and we add more and more and more wood chips. For now, there's a very little amount of wood chips on the ground in comparison to this huge area full of olive trees. But I think it's still going to make a good difference. So let's get this up to the next pile and start chipping. Come on, dogs. Good boy, bring that up with you. So yesterday we weren't filming, but we got through a whole stack of branches down there. Now we're left with kind of a big stack all the way up at the top here. Now I want to be safe. I want to make sure that we're not going to start any fires on this area. We are going to have this machine running. The engine's going to get hot. There is grass. I mean, the grass is green, but still, I want to be on the safe side. And so directly behind me here, we have a water point. I just need to figure out how we're going to get a tap on there. It's basically an irrigation point. It's got a really big tube on it. And as you can see, some ridiculous pressure, so I can't attach a hose pipe to that, unfortunately, but we do have this over here. It's got like a little water filter, and then we have the thread that you can fit a tap to. Today is a public holiday in Portugal. It's Labor Day, and so we can't just go down to the shops and buy a tap, but fortunately we live on a farm. We have taps all over the place, so I'm going to go and find one that we don't really use very often and try and see if that'll fit. So I'm going to take my trusty e-bike, cruise around to the front here, because I think we have a tap that it doesn't really get used very much. I hope it fits. Out the way, dog. So at our pump house over here we have a tap on the wall. I wonder if I can pull this off using my hands. So I don't have any big wrenches or anything like that to get around here. I was hoping that I could just loosen this with my hands, but I can't. But it seems like that joint over there is going to come out and allow me to take the tap up to the workshop. Now, before I forget, we're just going through our vineyard, and as you can see, I managed to cut all the grass the other day. We also had like a low fire risk day. I haven't managed to go between the vines yet, but it's a start. Things on the farm are starting to look really good. We're all nice and clean and clear, which is a must. And we're getting there. Right, so before we take this apart, let's make sure that it's going to fit. So let's just have a look at what we've got here. Yeah, it looks like the tap fitting is going to fit directly into that. Oh no, as luck would have it, I've got the wrong tools. I basically need to grab this side, grab that side, and then twist. And this is on its maximum and it just does not fit. And this one's way too small. I need more tools. Now we can't use a hose, but we got a couple of buckets. And we're going to fill these things up. And we're only a couple of meters away from where we're going to be working. And the grass is quite short all the way along here. The only real issue would be if something caught alight there. But I'm pretty sure with the buckets and the water right here, we don't have a problem. I'm obviously being super cautious here, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. I mean, imagine if we set all of these fields alight, it would be an absolute nightmare. So let's get some fuel into this machine and get started. So the wood goes in here and it comes firing out of there. And as you can see, you don't want to get your hand down there. You've got all of this tube, so my arm's not really long enough to actually reach, which is pretty good. But if you put your arm in there while there's logs being smashed, you can break your hand or break your arm. So you have to be quite safe and not put your hands in. Alright, so the machine's warmed up and it's time to test it. Look at this. Unfortunately, it doesn't feed these pieces. They're kind of small, and so it doesn't have enough weight to go through the machine. So yeah, and also I don't want to be sticking my hand out here. It's a little bit too dangerous to be pushing these tiny things in. So Gina, after watching all of that madness, do you want to put your hands in there?
No, I don't want to be anywhere near it. It's loud and scary.
It's very loud. That's why I'm wearing headphones. But yeah, so what Gina's going to do is she's going to use this saw to chop up all these difficult pieces. Because when we're using this shredder, it only likes straight pieces. As soon as you start putting weird angled stuff in, it starts to get stuck. So Gina has a very important task. So it's 12 o'clock, it's nearly lunchtime. I just need to get stuck in now and I'll see you guys in a bit. Phew, we've run out of fuel. I do have some more in the tank though, but I think I need to take a little break because it's getting sweat in my eyes. It's stinging, it's boiling hot today. But we've made a good dent. It's 4 p.m. now, we're still going. Now chippers aren't as great as you think they are. Obviously they make nice wood chips, but these little springy branchy bits don't go through the chipper very well. In order to get this through the chip, you have to push your arm right down inside the sleeve, which is obviously quite dangerous. And I tried getting like a plank or something to try and tamp it down with, and that didn't really work either. So we are still left with very springy, bushy stuff. So we've done all of like the big logs and stuff, and now we just have to carry all these piles down to the bottom there, and hopefully we'll get a couple of rainy days when we won't be able to, when we will be able to make a fire and we won't be able to set alight the fields. But yeah, we got a whole bunch of different piles of really good mulch. It's olive wood, and it's going to be fantastic for our veggie garden, I think. Stick it on the top there, stop it from drying out. And I imagine after years and years of doing this, so every year when we're doing like pruning and stuff like that, and we're chipping and all of that's going back onto the ground, we spread it out all over this entire sort of olive grove area, and then the olive groves down in the bottom field down in that section. And over time, I think it's going to make a really nice sort of covering on the ground to suppress weeds and help keep moisture in the soil. I'm so knackered already. And Gina and I are taking turns dropping all the little bits off down there. Gina, how are you feeling?
I'm hot.
Are you hot?
Hot.
Are you a hot honey?
No, I'm just hot and grumpy.
Hot and grumpy, nice. Cool, so once she drops it off there, I'll take it down. And yeah, we decided the best way to do it is to take turns, because I think today is 28 degrees, or it's supposed to be 28 degrees. It feels closer to 30, I would say. And yeah, this is pretty grinding work. All right, and then it's just taking the stuff down and putting it somewhere where it's safe and doesn't, well, it's not a fire risk. Pretty soon, all of these grasses are going to be cut. They're going to be cut and they're going to be hay baled for Jacques and sheep. And so it's going to look very different over here. But yeah, this is kind of like our last few looks at proper sort of meadows with all of these different yellow and purple flowers, little white flowers, little pink flowers, all of the different cereals and things like that. About a week ago, I took my camera and I went off into the fields. I brought an audio recorder so that I could capture all the sounds of the insects and the birds and the wind rustling through the grasses. And I made a really beautiful little montage clip that I'm going to play right now. It's such a peaceful place. I absolutely love living here. I love the fact that all of the seasons are so pronounced, where you really get 4 seasons. And we're about to hit that sort of summer season where all of these beautiful grasses go. And it's kind of sad to see, but soon, you know, towards the end of summer, we're going to have fields just full of tall green corn plants. And those are going to be really nice and really delicious and lush and full of nutrients and full of water and stuff for Jacques and sheep. But before that happens, we have to say goodbye to all of our flowers, which is really sad. And then we usher in the hot, dry summer. While Gina drops off this load, I'm just chilling underneath a beautiful big fig tree. It's nice and shady, very cool. And I'm here with Dog Dog. This is our sweet Dog Pooch. He's a golden retriever mixed with a white German shepherd. We've had him now for about 12 years, and he is the most loyal farm protector and the sweetest dog. Well, as long as you're supposed to be on here. If you're not supposed to be on here, he's pretty vicious. But look at him. What a good boy. Mwah. All right, job done. I feel like I've run a marathon. It's 5 p.m. and it's all clear. So we had all the large piles. Well, we had some here. And then stretching down here, and as you can see, it's all cleared. Now, we couldn't do all of it. Unfortunately, with this wood chipper, the pieces have to be very straight. Otherwise, they don't go through. It's got like a very small little funnel. It's like 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters or something. And so when you've got these like bushy bits, it just wouldn't go through there. I tried with all sorts of things, like I tried to tamp it down and stuff. So it's quite selective with what you can put through. And we've got a lot of stuff left behind that we are still going to have to burn. And it's all the way at the bottom here. I made a nice little clearing. I mowed the grass and stuff and prepared it well. So I'm kind of at 2 minds about a wood chipper because it really doubled up the work. A lot of the pieces we had to use a handsaw to cut them straight. It was just taking so much time, and it was taking a lot of fuel. The wood chipper was burning through about 1 litre of fuel, I don't know, in like half an hour, 45 minutes. I think we went through about 6 litres of fuel in total. No, wait, it must be more because we've been working the whole day. Well, it's 5 p.m, so I really don't know, but I had a 10 litre thing and now it doesn't have very much in. And so as you can see, look how much of this is left. There is a huge amount. This is our burning pit. And I think what I'll do is we're going to wait for a rainy day, hopefully. And then I'm going to cut the grass a bit further back. And we're going to stack it in the middle and start burning it all. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about wood chippers really. You know, this wood chipper costs about 1,500 euros. It's a nice powerful machine, but it's a lot of work to actually ram all of the sticks down. You know, I just thought that gravity was going to feed it through and it was going to be a piece of cake, and it was really hard work. I mean, all of like the branches and stuff are just like slapping you all over and slapping you in the face as it's going through, and you're getting really like beaten up and scratched up. It's obviously also quite dangerous to use the machine, and it's very loud and it's boiling hot, and it's not as easy as I thought. And I can understand why people just burn, because all we would have had to do is just grab the wood, bring it over here, set it on fire, happy days. And I'm also quite interested to find out, you know, people are saying like, oh, you mustn't burn, it releases CO2, it's bad for the environment. But then again, what does sort of 6 to 10 litres of fuel, you know, have when you burn it in terms of CO2? So, you know, we've got to pay for that fuel, and we had to do a lot more work than if we just burnt it on the fire here. So for now, we're going to have to pray for rain so we can get rid of this gigantic pile. And what better way to end the day than with an ice cold beer. Cheers, everyone.